He runs Tryndamere, a champion that has an ability called Mocking Shout. If he comes out on top, XL are sending subterfuge messages through their picks. But more importantly, neither team setting up for level 1. So Nymera, this time round, it doesn't look just yet like an early
Vicious Mockery, take psychic damage. But I mean, just a quick aside onto one quick thing, because we see actually there's a phase rush over here on the Volibear. That's not actually a summoner, a keystone, which I've seen on that champion before. However, in the 1v1 versus the Olaf, because of course Olaf has so much ability to run people down in the early game, I think that's actually quite valuable here.
But also just speed, you know, in this game.
Go fast.
It's all about the fast. Zilean, Volibear, Tryndamere, Zeri, Olaf, there's just a lot of running. And I hope everyone's got their cardio shoes on, especially you, Quickshot, because you're going to be speaking fast.
Did you see my trousers off the Frenetic G2? There ain't no running shoes in my wardrobe.
Well, I'm just going to wish you luck, because I want to draw attention very quickly to the lane priorities. Because when we look across the board, my expectations are that Vitality should very well be able to get the push in this 2 versus 2. You will see a bit of trading back and forth as both try to get control over the lane. But top lane matchup, Alfari will have that range lead, so he should be able to get that early prior. And Victor, typically into a Rise, can actually get that push as well, because you trade aggressively using that Q to trade your health, and you can end up coming out on top in terms of that early push. Once Rise gets a couple levels under his belt, he should be able to push that one back, but it does mean that Vitality should have, across the board, multiple pushing lanes that Selfmade can then look to try and take advantage of.
And that is like the perfect setup for an Olaf. We've seen Olaf for so many years at this point, and it has always come around in similar situations. You have pushing lanes, which allow you to kind of know that the enemy laners aren't going to come help out the enemy jungler in that 1v1. All lights go green for that, and it allows you to play the map so aggressively.
But as I say that, you can see bot lane actually getting the push in favor of XL. Top lane, actually, Finn getting that push as well. It's only Perks that, for the time being, has that early push. So we'll see what Selfmade does with this information. For the time being, Markoon doing his red Raptors into blue Gromp. So he's already that level 3, but both junglers, for the time being, posturing towards that bot crab. I'm wondering if Markoon does look like that he may actually path back up towards the top side and leverage the push that Finn does have in the 1v1.
Yeah, because it's all well and good saying, you know, okay, you know, he's pathing, blah, blah, blah. The problem about Olaf is that Olaf can clear so quickly. After he's done all of his camps, he gets about a 20-30 second window where he can just do whatever he wants. It's this window of time where Olaf clears so quickly ahead of other junglers that you have an extra degree of ease in decision-making, because you don't actually have to be anywhere. You have a lot of freedom to go places.
Well, what does Selfmade do with that time? In the previous game, Markoon and XL were able to generate advantages that really forced Selfmade, had limited his ability to find an impact. And by the time Selfmade was able to look for some of those picks, it kind of felt like XL had generated a lead for themselves. Kazi and Labrov have been pushed. It feels like every time we look at this bottom lane, Patrick and Mickey are stepping forward into them. It feels as though they're lower HP almost consistently. And once again, Mickey stepping forward, trying to apply pressure to Labrov.
It is the annoying thing about Zilean. Does have a decent amount of poke in the early game thanks to those bombs. Can use the W, reset it, throw another bomb out, and you can see that he's just kind of chipping away at the HP bar of Labrov. So the trading power going ever so slightly in the favor of XL.
He's also got the Aerie over the Guardian. Of course, the Guardian's better in the bigger trades. It's got a longer cooldown than the Aerie. Just allows it an extra incremental damage over time.
Let's talk about the fact he's got the exhaust too. Keep that in mind when the fights break out. Labrov got one bomb on him. Dash forward there from Mickey. Patrick firing out the rockets. Labrov avoids the stun. Down to 100 HP and gets on range from the zap. A close trade. The exhaust was used by Mickey.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage in this bot lane when you do have 2 ranged supports. Things can get a bit hectic early on. Of course, Summoners traded. Have to see now if this is going to be a signal that junglers want to get involved soon.
Labrov with so much mana stepping forward. I wonder if he wants to play aggro with that bailout. Full stacks and passive Akazi there, continuing to chase forward. And you see Mickey and Patrick now all of a sudden respecting the range, the ability for them to chase, especially with Mickey's mana pool dropping low. And Markoon potentially the first to make a move.
They should know that there's actually very little vision on this side of the map.
That's a pullback onto Mickey, flashes away to safety. Here comes Markoon, puts the bite down for first blood once more. Kazi's trying to chase back and Patrick sidesteps everything. The bailout buys so much time and finally goes down. Double kill to Markoon in game 2 for XL.
And for all we talked about, Olaf's great at fighting early. So many things. This is all about the Volibear. Finds that window of time, uses their early ability to gank lanes, use that CC, and gets a huge reward for it.
Can I ask a question now? This is just, it felt to me as though that trading back and forth, almost man, Kazi and Labrov didn't look at the map or forgot or lost track of, and Markoon just punished them being overextended.
I mean, also, it was the fact that Labrov used Sweeper in the bot lane. Kazi hadn't actually dropped a ward yet in the bot lane, and now Finn has his eyes on Alfari.
Chase.
Very low on health, though.
Chase. Mocking Shout, not level 6. Will be able to get the heal back up from that Bloodlust, and it's not a fight just yet. Level 6 is still a little bit away, but it will come shortly.
And he was looking maybe for a lucky crit. When you crit on the Trinity, you get more of that passive, which allows you to, guess what? Crit even more. Didn't quite get the RNG in his favor, but manages to get back into this lane and then gets that level 6 at the same time as Alfari.
I heard you, chat. I can all see you spamming -1. Finn did miss the cannon. It's okay. You're allowed. But let's have a look back at this. So Markoon sweeps much deeper into the jungle. Highlights that there is no wards here. And Kazi and Labrov just want to push this wave out. But they don't have any jungle support. They come very close to getting the kill onto Mickey. But they are just super overextended without any support anywhere else on the map. And while Kazi gets very close, unfortunately for them, it's no kill.
And this is now the second game in a row where Markoon has had tangible early impact on the map. Again, so many questions were asked about Markoon, and he has answered them in this series so far very well.
Exceptionally well. Great punish. And I think second game in a row as well, during the course of the laning phase, the way the first few levels play out opened the opportunity for Markoon to punish. Let's keep that in mind, as the Vitality players have maybe presented a target which was hit with the bullseye. However, exactly the same as game 1. After the first few kills, Vitality do secure the first dragon of the game, taking a quick look at CS's tiny advantage for Alfari in the top lane, and pretty much negligible in both middle and bottom. But Selfmade has been farming up a storm, got himself level 6, significantly ahead of his opposing number. And Walting still waiting to find an opportunity for Selfmade to get involved on this Olaf, but I think he'll be very comfortable farming up at this point.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at Vitality's composition, we did talk about how it has a little more scaling elements, but I think both teams are quite happy to just chill, sit back, wait up for those first core items to happen. Vitality have the slight advantage in that they've already secured the first strike. I wouldn't be surprised to see Labrov actually going back soon with the Herald spawning within the next 30 seconds. There could be a window here. The fact that Alfari's also just reset, spent some of his money, but XL are actually looking to attack this bot lane once again. They know, well, all the summoners are back up, they don't care.
Round one, walled up. Here comes Nukeduck and Markoon. Jump over the wall for Kazi, but the Thunder is splitting sky. Kazi stays alive as the flash comes out and an overload to the face. Look, that was a lot invested, but that is the second kill onto Kazi. So maybe slightly stepping forward, and XL have changed their focus from top in game 1 to bot in game 2.
And just as you were questioning, VIT, actually are Vitality looking to go up towards that Herald? Of course, they're committing their jungler up there. XL call the bluff and say, sweet, we'll go bot, we'll catch you out in the rotation.
Oh man, Perkz of course forced to flash once again. Finn makes his way down bottom. XL are everywhere on the Rift. We're not even 10 minutes in, and this is the second game in a row.
It is, and Vitality for the second game in a row, they're struggling to have a adequate counterpunch. They have managed to, of course, lane pretty well, as you're saying. It's just when the bigger fights happen, struggling to really give as good as they get.
I mean, it's one of those things where I feel, you mentioned it, Namera, Markoon's tangible early game impact. This is the second time where they found a successful gank. The first one was just punishing the mistakes of Vitality. This one was a proactive use of the Realm Warp, and even though all of the summoners are up and available, XL commit to the play anyway.
And this is what we saw from this combo, and things that we kind of labeled onto it as well from XL. They have the X factor, the ability to play a bit tricky around the map. The Realm Warp's a big part of that. We know that the tower diving potential and the ability to cross the wall with the volley bet also very, very impactful. And again, Markoon seriously stepping up in this game.
No doubt about it. As we take a look in this middle lane, Nukeduck is relatively low. Selfmade lingering in the shadows. And take a brief moment to just quickly talk about the two mid laners, because Nukeduck has also been significantly more impactful during the early stages of the game. Now, there's opportunities opened by Markoon, have allowed Nukeduck to move forward, but when you look at the two players, so I do have them reversed. Apologies to both graphics and stats teams. Nukeduck is on the right side. 50 games to 94, significant differences in experiences, and Nukeduck's one of those players that has been stopped and held back by the likes of Perkz many times in the past.
I mean, this is also why, when coming into playoffs, many people just defaulted to the trust with Perkz, and I think even though Vitality is down in this game, it's hard to dissuade people on that because of the trust and faith that you have in a player like Perkz. He has a number of playoff performances. He's been able to turn a number of situations around, and he's a player that in these clutch situations often comes up big.
Maybe that graphics what happens when Nukeduck gets hit by the Renata ult. They would just spin it that way.
I love that, as Markoon will jump on top of Perkz. The bailout buys a couple extra seconds. Markoon is absolutely dominating Vitality for now. Finn will get himself gnawed against the wall, spinning slash forwards, give him a mocking shout, and Bloodlust fully stacked for a gigantic heal.
I'm going to bring us back in time again, quick shot.
Okay, time travel.
First time Marcoon joined the league, it was his volley bear, right? And I want to say he was playing against Caps, but he permanently dived mid lane on this volley bear over and over and over again. And this level of aggression is not something we've always gotten to see from Marcoon, but it's great to see it back once again.
Stormbringer, Stormbringer, Stormbringer! Alfari flashes and hops, and the rumble, rumble, rumble from Marcoon. That's a big chomp down, the shout that is mocked onto Alfari, and that's an instant death. Undying range wasn't clicked. Finn, you gotta hit the button, buddy. You gotta hit the button. 2 for 1 in favor of Vitality.
And for the first time in the first 2 games, Vitality, they react appropriately in time when they find themselves on the board.
Oh man, take a look at that hostile takeover, holding Nukeduck in place. But it's not going to be enough, not enough follow-up, and Vitality not ready just yet.
And that's the ghost on the Olaf course being popped, and it allows you to get into those fights so well. And while that's all happening, in Vitality find this window of time to find something in mid as well.
Vitality, they're trying to be proactive on the map themselves. Kazi has locked down Mickey.
Well, there's the cleanse used already. Kazi's chasing
The fast
forward.
versus the faster.
Chase! Run! But can you get away from that burst fire? And the answer for now is yes. Perks now throws out that death ray to chase Nukeduck away. And in the blink of an eye, after it was looking so good for XL, a couple of crazy moments, and Vitality are right back in it.
Well, we did see some examples last game of Finn overcommitting just a bit. This time, though, Marcoon was bought in on the action. I think the moment that Alfari flashes away here, you need to back off. But they're saying, you know what? We don't care. We can dive the next tower as well. And Finn, he just wasn't expecting the passive to proc from Alfari. Good little combo there. Auto into Q, instantly procs all 3, takes him out, and then Selfmade picks up another kill. And that was a big mistake from XL, which Vitality are going to happily claim for themselves.
That's a huge thank you to all human beings watching this series after the mechanical magnificence of Finn in Game 1 to just not pay attention to pushing the R button early enough in Game number 2. As all of a sudden, the action continues. A handshake pulls Marcoon backwards, but he is going to be able to pick up that chrono shift, and that means Vitality respected and back away. They turn their attention to Dragon instead.
About to say, it's all around that objective. It allows them to take that. Vitality took the first one, and suddenly this game gets a little bit different. Vitality start to stack those dragons and force XL later into the game to come into them around the neutrals.
And it's important to recognize that while XL have been very proactive in terms of looking for kills and looking for early advantages, Vitality have been focusing on the neutrals. They've secured both early Drakes. They also got themselves the first Herald. And they are setting themselves up for later into the game. They're not at such a massive deficit that they're too worried yet, but let's see if XL can make that deficit bigger.
Oh man, dive top. Alfari this time around, they're sipping in 3 players. The Undying range was found. And Nukeduck, with the help of the Realm Walk, not going to be able to get the assist, but is there any other cost available? No, just a clean kill for XL.
But this time, of course, it's going to be plates going over. Alfari doesn't have that teleport. Perks is going to get stuff in the mid lane. It is still somewhat of a cross map.
Now, can I just briefly touch on the fact that during the course of the regular season, Vitality's early game, they weren't very good at picking up first Heralds, but first Dragons were 4th in the league, 55% of all of their games. Remember, this is a team that went 9-9, didn't win many of them. So that Dragon priority, Dragon focus, they've done it both games this series. The gold is 2,000 different as we're approaching 12 minutes in, and Vitality are going to be pretty comfortable right now.
Observers, could you just very quickly show us the gold? I'd love to know where the differences lie right now. So we can see that Selfmade's actually ahead of Marcoon, largely because of the farm discrepancy. A small advantage for Finn in the top lane because of the plates. Same for Nukeduck in mid, also thanks to the 2 kills that he has, and also in bot lane. So a lot of XL's gold lead right now comes from the fact that those early kills have been converted into plates. They have not converted it into any towers just yet, but XL find themselves with a slight lead off the back of their early proactivity.
They do, but then the question comes in, can they do it again? Looking a lot, the vision around the river is being heavily contested. But what you can see is actually it's Vitality who actually have some deeper wards around the top side of that jungle, and they're using it for Selfmade to have this extra ability to affect things.
Right now, Alfari will have some backup this time round. Selfmade stepping forward. Finn, no ultimate available to him, not against the wall. That was just flawless. Selfmade and Alfari pick up the kills. They've got a gigantic minion wave, and they should be able to pick up the tower as well.
Simple flowchart there. Get the vision, move your jungler up there, use them to get the numbers advantage, very quickly capitalizing on the safe amount of vision they've established.
And of course, the cross map there, down in the bottom lane, Nukeduck picks up tower, and all of a sudden 3 members of XL pushing in the middle lane. it may actually be more advantageous for XL here. 2 towers secured. Yes, they lost Finn, but Nukeduck's not done. He's still sieging bottom, Vedius.
It's interesting how XL are playing this early game, literally sacking all early objectives in favor of just securing more gold in terms of plates, more map control in terms of towers. They got themselves the mid tier 1, they got themselves the bot tier 2, likely off the back of this, and so they're consistently staying ahead in gold even though Vitality have more map control. The problem they may find themselves in is, oh, I thought he may actually use the Herald there because they still saw Patrick bot, but instead just choosing to convert it into vision control for the time being.
And this is crazy. So much demolition across the map, and it makes it very open. And I feel like that does benefit the Rise, but then the gold is kind of blurring that line.
Nymira, I thought this was a PvP playoffs, not PvE, as both teams trade 3 towers to 3 on opposite ends of the map. That Rift Herald is still inside the back pocket of Selfmade. If we try to zoom out, maybe after the potential engage, Kazi will have the backup of Lebrov. Nukeduck stepping forward, and as soon as Lebrov shows, Nukeduck backs away. Is it even feasible to digest who got the advantage there? Or is it just relatively even because of the towers?
Like I said, I mean, the gold is kind of thereabouts. I think it's more about how do you play out the wider map at this point. Tryndamere still happy in a sideline, or is he?
Yeah, not right now. This time flashes early, doesn't get caught by that boomerang blade. His ghost was on cooldown, so he definitely wanted to get out of dodge.
But either way, I feel like when you have a Rise and you have a Tryndamere, you have more ways to play around a wider map. Question is that if XL can do that, now they have to push in towards the more constrained inner ring of turrets. It's less distance to cover, and that means that maybe Vitality can respond to that a little quick. It's all over the place.
It absolutely is. XL, however, I feel up until that previous trade of towers had been first to the punch, first to make the proactive move. A lot of it led from Marcoon and then backed up by Finn and Nukeduck. Finn, this game, has now been held back. It has been a response from both Alfari and Selfmade to take his tower, push him further into his lane. This Tryndamere is not yet unlocked. We're still 2,000 gold difference, 5 minutes since my last check-in, and it is 30 seconds to Dragon. With 2 Drakes already, Vitality have got a gigantic win condition, or at least ability to force XL's hand, bring XL towards them, and maybe pick up those fights, because that is a lot of abilities to win those team fights inside a Dragon Pit.
For sure. I think the Vitality's in a much more comfortable position than they were in last game, where a lot of their early game, they needed to be the ones being proactive and finding control over the map, whereas this time around, it's a lot more splits, a lot more even, and again, that gold's still very, very close between the 2 teams, which Vitality should be able to secure off the back of this tower as well. So, the tension's starting to mount. Both teams definitely gearing towards that team fight. The Dragon is up, being started off what looks like right now by Marcoon, but the collapse from Selfmade is very quickly coming in.
I mean, if you look at the mini-map, a number of XL wards deep inside Vitality's territory. Teleport is available there for Nukeduck, and it's actually going to be Vitality pulling the trigger first, so Perks will TP in and immediately start this Dragon. This is the best signal ever that Vitality are playing for Soul.
So think about that passage of play that just happened. Selfmade heralded top from the mid control that they had. They then rotated through the topside jungle, straight through mid, straight into Drake, secure their 3rd Dragon of the game, and now they're looking to collapse on the Rise.
I mean, they are indeed, but XL is still pushing up in the top lane. Nukeduck is trying to use the realm warp to safety, and he does. Hostile takeover does not find its target. Alfari left alone with 5 members of XL in front of his tower. Look, this game continues to be PvE as there's much movement around the entire rift.
I feel like this is like Sun Tzu, flowing like water across the map, where you try and find the weakest point on the map, and both teams trying to play the smoke and mirrors, play away from each other and not look for straight up engagements.
Wait, that's crazy how we saw XL setting up for a cross map towards the top side, but then the Rise ultimate transitioning from bot to top as well. Just beautiful play from XL.
And for those of you that don't remember the second face-off in the regular season between these two, similar things happened when the map got a bit crazy. There were Hex Flash ganks going on from Selfmade on Trundle. But what we saw both these teams do is try and play this dance out of a very strange map setup, which isn't usual in our current meta. Towers falling down at quite irregular times, as we saw here. It's coming into a similar kind of scenario again. It reminds me of it.
And it's going to be very interesting to see if XL can continue to match and outplay Vitality, because throughout the course of these cross maps, the gold lead is now extended to 4,000. 5 towers to 3. It has been at the cost of that 3rd Dragon. And Marcoon and Finn are looking to get some revenge on Alfari, who's about to gnaw out. He's got Flash available and a lot of support coming in. Nukeduck jumps right into the face of Perks. Flash up the wall for Alfari. There's a fight inside the Baron Pit as well. Finn uses the Undying Rage to stay alive in the Chrono Shift. Correction, the bailout, I think it was, they're bringing Patrick back to life. Now all of a sudden, that's one kill onto Mickey, another onto Finn, and it's XL that's been routed and have been wrecked. Nukeduck, no Realm Warp this time round, gets taken down, and Vitality cleanly pick up 3 kills.
For such a long passage of play, they weren't trying to look for the direct engagement, and when it finally comes to it, Vitality find a huge win here, and they might get them the Baron after.
What happened inside the Baron Pit? I completely missed out as I was focusing in the top lane.
Well, the fight was so spread out that while there was a big engagement with TPs being invested, it was Mickey and Patrick trying to survive against Selfmade. Selfmade was able to pop the ultimate out from Mickey, and then Kazi joins the fray and picks up that initial kill onto Mickey as well. But 3 quick kills off the back of XL trying to force something on the map. Vitality respond well. They get themselves the Baron, and all of a sudden, that gold lead just disappears.
And actually, a big part of it too is actually Zeri really starting to come online in these sorts of scenarios. Again, we see that Patrick and Mickey trying to rotate back up. Selfmade is there, and there isn't enough damage to chunk through him, but Kazi on this area is in so much of a better situation to try and skirmish rather than front to back. And this is the point where Zeri becomes so dangerous.
And look at that as well, the 3v3 on the other side. Marcoon can't really get involved in the fight, kind of have to leave Finn out to dry. Nukeduck has already committed everything to be able to be involved in the fight. And because of the split fight that happened in the river falling short, the rest of Vitality collapse and they come out on top.
The crazy thing is, even with those 3 kills and Baron secured, Vitality are still technically behind in gold. Now, with the stats and the ability it's going to allow Vitality to play the map, they will be in control of the game for the next few minutes. But you have to put praise on XL's early game for those first 17 minutes. That top lane fight may have cost them dearly, but it is 90 seconds to Dragon, and they are still ahead in the tower game. So there is still some room here for XL. Both of these teams have a lot of scaling and options as we go later.
I mean, they are ahead in the tower game, but then they're starting to fall down now. Vitality get to recoup some of that gold. It was just standing gold, and when you start looking about these comps and you say, okay, we're getting an even gold later into the game, it's likely we're going to have even 5v5s at some point. Who does that start to favor? And with Perks actually slowly starting to tick up in terms of the amount of items he's got, he's starting to get a little bit scared as XL if it comes to an even fight.
Yeah, and one of the things we talked about in the draft was the role of this Tryndamere. When I feel like we're going to be seeing much more team fights, and especially with the control that Vitality have had over the Dragons, this Tryndamere is going to be forced into the 5v5. Maybe it's stronger in the side lane, but you don't get to leverage the side lane like you did in Game 1. You're going to have to fight Vitality, and how can this Tryndamere actually stick onto a Zeri? Can it stick onto the Victor with this Q upgrade and the gravity field? Like, there's a lot of tools and peel that's available for Vitality to just play a straightforward front-to-back fight.
That is Time Warp. That's all it is. Zillion E is all he needs. Maybe a good Realm Warp. It's all about the warping for XL. But more importantly, 20 seconds to go until this next Dragon. Vitality once again committing. Perks has TP'd for the Dragons twice in a row. They're starting to clear out the vision. And if you look in the bottom lane, Perks is now pushed bot. Nukeduck will be able to find a route. Handshake backwards. Forced to flash over the wall. Kazi continues to chase forward, and Marcoon's holding onto the ulti. Finn now jumping onto Perks. Undying Rage has been used. Trying to get those crits. Finn's now running for his life. Perks and Labrov are low. The rest of XL running for their lives. The Death Rocket finds one. And it is at least a reply. 1 for 1 thus far.
So, I mean, said you can't play around side lanes, but Finn did manage to find something against the head, and the fight continues.
Chrono Shift is still available. It's going to be needed. It's not used early enough. Patrick was too far away. He's taken down, and Marcoon will follow shortly. Just after the Chrono Shift, Nukeduck by some time going golden. 1, 2 more kills for Vitality. Marcoon's got a big bite, but gets gnawed against the wall, and Vitality in 3 minutes turn this game completely around. They have a 1,000 gold lead, they have a kill lead, and they're about to get themselves a soul.
There it is. That's okay. It's not quite the even 5v5, but it's the even larger fight, which caused Vitality really swing for the fences on.
Nightmare, that soul is going to make them go fast, 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 even more, and that's exactly what you two were talking about in draft, the mobility and the speed on this comp.
Yeah, I feel really sad for Patrick, as much as he is such a connoisseur at this Jinx. I mean, how do you disengage from this 4-0-2 self-made Olaf? It gets that much more difficult to deal with.
And I think that this was just another slip-up by XL. Vitality here. I mean, you can see Nukeduck just trying to find a pick, but it is he who gets collapsed on. And then Finn realizes, wait, now I'm in an awkward position. I was trying to catch Perks out, but now I'm getting collapsed on. And Vitality just did the smart thing. They tried to contest for the space around XL's blue buff so that they would be better set up when the Drake actually spawned and they could actually start contesting around it. Instead, Vitality found themselves a fight, which they were able to very quickly convert into multiple kills, their Dragon Soul, and control over Game 2.
Now all of a sudden, XL have to find a way back into this game. You're seeing the Vitality team composition starting to come online. 2 items completed for most of the carries. Still a lot of space to go, and all of this mobility from the Cloud Soul will play into Vitality's hands extremely well. So this is difficult for XL. They will be able to look towards some bounties, but they will be difficult to push for. I mean, look at those turrets all the way in Vitality's base, and that will be the 5th tower secured now. Top lane, only 1 outer remaining. XL needs to be very, very cautious on how they come back at this Tryndamere. Once again, a little bit caught out. I mean, Vedius, you're talking a bit about it, how it'll fit into this comp, and can it play side lane? Right now, it's just being jumped on by the Busy Bees. And kill will be secured by Perkz with that death ray over the wall.
Not for the first time. We're now seeing Finn just a little disconnected from the rest of the team. And Vitality very much in control of how they want to play out the map at this point. I have to say, it must feel pretty good for Selfmade. Game 1 felt like he was constrained of a few options. Very, very much more open in this game to start really playing the map as he sees fit and have that agency he lacked.
For sure, I think Selfmade, I was a little concerned given that he wasn't really doing much in the early game, but we talked a lot about it, right? The objective control was constantly going in the favor of Vitality. What they weren't getting in kills, they were getting in dragons and heralds, and the question was, would it mount into anything? And so far, it definitely has. So 26 minutes in, Vitality have only found successful fights. They've only found great control, and Vitality are definitely no slouches in this series.
Can I just put some numbers onto the Selfmade performance? 174 CS, Gore Drinker and Randuin's already completed, 4-0-3. He's got a 400 gold bounty, and after, I mean, frankly, just power farming until level 7. Marcoon picked up, what, 2, 3, 4 kills, I think, by that point. He knew that with the comp, once you have Zeri next to you, and potentially Renata as well, all the tools were available to stomp on XL, and that is what they have done. So now, all of a sudden, Vitality are being pressured a little in the mid lane. Alphari's in bot with that teleport. Finn is not there. It's going to be Nukeduck instead trying to match him. He has teleport as well. Nukeduck still not yet level 16, and the pressure's on XL to find an opportunity to way back in, especially if this Elder's secured. That is game over with the damage available to this Vitality composition.
It is, and while we were kind of saying from the early game, a little bit from the draft as well, XL probably do want to play through side lanes, push out, and then collapse on the mid lane. They can't do that. It's Vitality that's doing that to them, so XL have to run it straight down the middle lane.
Running, waiting for it. Marcoon is just simply not able to close the distance. Selfmade instead, he's gonna ghost up. Stands on top of the Flame Chompers, and XL been able to disengage. For now, Selfmade's running forward! Look at the speed! Running into the XL backline, head on, nothing can stop him. Ragnarok and Ragnaroll over XL as Alphari's gonna gnaw out and chuck a boulder into Mickey's face. The tower will be the target, the inhibitor follow.
His name is Selfmade and he goes where he pleases, quick shot. It does not matter what stands in his way, he will run straight through it, and Vitality will tear through the lineup of XL and bring us to 1-1.
They absolutely will. The minions are pouring into the base. It's a 5 versus 3. And it doesn't feel like XL can do anything about it. Marcoon escapes with a sliver of health. Burning! And it's Perkz that picks up the kill, the 14th of the game. The minions have been cleared out. All kudos here to XL to at least stall by some time. But that example of Selfmade just tearing through the middle lane is exactly what he wanted to do.
I mean, you get to exist in this game for a little longer, but it's not exactly a pleasant existence.
I like that. You get to exist.
Yeah,
That's a great
I'm not
line.
really sure you're too happy about it. We can see XL really struggling to find a way to play out their composition at this point. They try and go for a Hail Mary, run it down that mid lane with the Volley Bear and the Zillion, try and find a single target. They failed that, and they've used a lot of their mobility going forward. Got nothing left to go back, and it's not like Vitality is slow in their own right, already have, you know, that Cloud Soul, have blah, blah, blah. They have so many ways to catch up and run them down.
Yeah, I think you identified it well, Nightmare. It feels like that XL's composition, we didn't talk much about it in the draft, but it's not that same standard front to back that they kind of had in game 1. While they did run the Aurelia, it was still much easier for them to actually find successful team fights. This time around, Vitality have just gone for that much more standard, hey, we run at you, quite literally, and we will just have our carries do damage on the back line while our front line soaks up everything you tried to throw at them. And as you rightly said, XL, they tried to get those leads in the early game. They haven't been allowed to attack through the side lanes, and Vitality are now in control.
It's like, wow, did they just run at us menacingly? Very much so.
I like that indeed. I mean, when we take a look at, you know, how the draft played out, that Olaf pick immediately after the Jinx volley bear, there was a bit of discussion around it and wondering, you know, how will the rest of this comp secure for Vitality? They fell a little behind early, but it simply didn't matter. They waited to get their item spikes. They once again had control of the Dragon Pit. And as Nymeria so eloquently put it, XL is simply existing in this world. That's Nukta jumping onto Perks. There's a lot of damage gone out, but it is going to be, in fact, Maku that's traded first. Kazi gets himself a second. Mickey's running for his life. The chrono shift available. He uses it on himself. And you never, ever want to be in a team fight where Zillion's ulting himself. 1, 2, 3, 4 members down. Nukta the last man standing.
Oh, and XL, they try and use that X Factor, the Realm Orb, everything that can go a little bit awry, and it's just not enough.
Not enough at all. Vicious strikes, so much damage coming out. That was close. That
The
almost
red buff?
worked. Oh, Selfmade goes where he pleases. How far he's going to try and pick up the last under the tower. Doesn't matter. The first Nexus turret falls. The second will immediately respond. Vitality bathing in the glory of game number 2. Having a little bit of fun playing with their food, as I would expect with these players. Maku's going to step forward once more, and finally Kazi turns his attention to the Nexus. That's one more kill. Nuktuk taken out. Kazi will pad his stats once more, and the series is 1-1. I do think there's question marks to be had for the early game, and how can Vitality contain